What if suddenly you went to zero and lost it all? The Two Business Guys Mastermind on how to build your business back. Enjoy. This business podcast, the Two Business Guys Mastermind, uncovers for you secrets and share tips and tricks to entrepreneurship as they mastermind on how to have startup, operational, and overall business success so that you can go on to get better results. Enjoy. So, hey, entrepreneurs, how are you today? The Two Business Guys are masterminding, and we're masterminding on it's going to be an interesting subject. And it's about, what if you lost it all?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You went to zero. Now, what got me all fired up about this is I was reading that a guy named Bill, I think it's Wang. Anyway, he lost $20 billion and basically went to zero.
Mm.
He went to zero, Rob.
Talk about a bad beat.
Because he made a bad bet in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm probably saying his name wrong. But anyway, imagine this, entrepreneurs. You lost it all. You went to zero. You know, the business didn't do well. You went bust. You lost all the family's money. What are you going to do next? Right? What skills have you acquired? And we're going to talk a little bit about that right now. All right, Rob, what do you think?
So, yeah, that whole concept, I mean, and what's funny is I haven't had, that dramatic of an experience. I can thank the Lord I haven't lost everything, but I know that just for me, when we've talked about this before, starting this business as opposed to all the other businesses that I've started, because I always had another job. I always, like, my business income was never a thing. It was always a passion project or whatever. Whereas when I started the Legacy Leadership Consulting Group, I literally had just come off of 6 months of trying to be a mortgage broker and that not working out well. So all of the money that I had that would have been, savings and been able to float me and all the rest of that type of stuff had just been spent over the 6 months before that. So I started this business really at that break even spot. So I understand the feeling. And so I think, starting off, I would say most entrepreneurs fear that space so much that we don't even put ourselves into that mindset of what it would be like. So I think this is it's a timely discussion, because I remember the feelings that I had when I was first starting out and scrimping and some of the things that we had to do going. I had, 4 different part-time jobs and all different things that we were doing at the time. That's a space of deep kind of like pain, trauma, fear for a lot of people. And so I really want, and it's funny because I know a lot of entrepreneurs now that have that story, and they're the ones that, are there. And Will Smith said something one time that I think is really powerful. He's like, God puts all the greatest things of life on the other side of fear. And so that you have to go through whatever that fear is to get to that great thing on the other side. So if you're one of those entrepreneurs that's sitting out there right now and like the thing that Randy just said just scared the mess out of you, and you're like, oh my God, I don't even want to think about it. We need to go into that space for just a little bit, because I can promise you, having come out on the other side, right? Having gone through the fear of, am I going to be able to take care of my family? I got all these degrees. I could go get a job doing this over here and make this money, but then I wouldn't be able to live my dream. And having to go through that dilemma, it was a really difficult thing. But I can tell you on the other side that it is definitely worth it, because there's a certain sense of conviction that you get on the other side of it, that with all the successes that I had beforehand, I had not developed that level of conviction until I had gone through, right, what I thought was something I couldn't go through.
And see, here's the key thing, everyone, and why I'm fired up about this. Now, we had talked a little bit about this in one of our other episodes, but what I want to start talking about is some strategies. Mm-hmm. If you went to zero, right, how are you now going to look at the things that you have been able to accomplish, the skills that you have been able to get because you accomplish those things, right? That is the thing that gets you up off the mat.
Yeah.
That gets you back into it, right?
Yeah.
Are you, and here's a wonderful thing about when you're faced with a situation like that, when you're looking and your family's looking back at you and you're looking down the road and saying, what am I going to do next? I'm going to suggest that it's really whatever you want. You now have to like take those skill sets. What did you learn doing the thing you were doing before? It may have failed, right? COVID could have crushed it. A competitor could have came into the marketplace and just wiped you out, right? Time and inattention, all of these factors.
Or you could have made a mistake.
Could have made a major mistake.
Hired the wrong person. Somebody stole money from you. Any of those things.
All that. Blow a hole in the side kind of moment, right? And I think Jim Collins talked about it. He says, just don't do anything that blows a hole in the side of your boat.
Exactly.
Right? But now it's sunk. You're there.
Right.
So I want to start digging into what you could do. Now, imagine this is the year you're in, right? And you look around and you see all these people doing all these interesting, they're making money off NFTs. And you're going, wait a minute, what's an NFT? Well, somebody figured it out. They're making money in the, utilizing the blockchain.
Yeah.
Right. All these Bitcoin, all these technologies, all these different things. People are making money online. The Great Resignation has people just dropping out of jobs saying, you know what? I'm going to take my skill set. I'm going to leverage it. And I'm saying you can do the same thing. So this conversation today is about a little bit of inspiration, right? And we hope from this inspiration, from what we're able to talk to you about today, gets you motivated to believe that no matter what happens, you're going to be able to feed your family.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's an important point for us to start with, right? Point number one is to know what your non-negotiables are, to know what your must-haves are, right? Because I think one of the things that especially those of us that are entrepreneurs, we're dreamers, we're visionaries, we live in the future, we come back to visit the present, right? But when you get to that point where you've hit rock bottom, where something has happened, where it's crushed everything, one of the most important things that you have to be able to do is take inventory of what's most important to you and realize that you have to protect those things and you have to secure those things, right? And so it's something that most people wouldn't even think about, but it's so important in a space like that. If you are at the bottom and something happens to you, what happens to your family, what happens to your loved ones, etc. Life insurance, something simple. But to make sure that you have a life insurance policy in place so that you're not worried about dying, right? Because that extra stress of what happens if I die and I know we ain't got no money in the bank will prevent you from being able to see the other opportunities that are there. Similarly, securing yourself to know that your family is going to have rent paid for, to know that your family is going to have food, to know that your family is going to be basic level, not out on the street, not homeless, not in the arrest, that type of stuff. If you can take care of those things, and that may mean having a part-time job somewhere that pays those bills, right? Part-time job, 20, 30 hours a week, it's 168 hours in a week. Trust me, you can still get your grind on working, right? I remember I had 3 part-time jobs. I was substitute teaching, I was ship shopping, I was doing some varsity tutoring on the side, I was doing a whole bunch of different things just to get money to come in, right? While I was building my business, because I could do all of those things and I could show up when I needed to show up. I could not show up when I didn't need to show up. I could call off. I could do all the rest of that. And so it gave me the flexibility, but it also gave me consistent money that was coming in that I knew was going to take care of rent, that I knew was going to take care of food, that I knew was going to take care of that stuff. So once you do those things, the amount of stress that it takes off of your shoulders, the amount of bandwidth in your mind that it allows you to put towards creativity, to put towards grind, to put towards focus, to put towards diligence and consistency. Those are the things. If there's a step one, it would be to, and this isn't something that I came up with. One of my mentors, after the fact, I heard this and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I did, right? It's protect what you have and then secure it against further loss and degradation, right? Because that allows you from a really emotional, a visceral, an internal perspective to be focused on what you need to be doing moving forward. So that would be my number one and number two.
Okay, so you heard it, right? So you want to do those things that just make sure you're not, just so stressed out, right? You want to get some money rolling in. Now, I'm going to look at it from a standpoint of everything is relative to cost, right? What's costing you every month? And I'm going to tell you something, man. And this really gets on me a little bit, right? Is when you've got all the luxuries, and I was going to use a really big word in there, accoutrements or whatever. If you've got all of the luxuries, number one, get rid of them. And I'm going to tell you, and the reason why I think this is an important subject matter is because it really relates to hunger. How hungry are you to do the things Rob said?
Oh, yeah.
How hungry are you? And how humble are you? Somewhere along the line, somebody out there with multiple degrees, PhDs, master's degree, and saying, I'm not going to be a shipped driver. I'm not going to sling pizzas, right? If you ever heard of Dave Ramsey, he'll tell you, go sling some pizzas to keep your family fed, right? You can take the pizza home, right?
Exactly.
If you're on a no carb diet, then you can, take the cheese off the top or something. But you see what I'm talking about is getting hungry again.
Yeah.
Circumstances has put something in front of you. Now, we're not, suggesting that, hey, you're 30 and you're healthy. You could be 59, 60, and 59, 60, maybe high blood pressure, you got some sugar problems, you got some situations that won't allow you to go in somebody's factory and flip some board or whatever. But if you start thinking to yourself, what can I do short term? Then what can I do long term? And I want to talk a little bit about the long term, but I really want to start thinking about what is that hunger moment?
Right.
You're
No, that's so powerful.
I can stack up. Like Rob was working 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Right.
And remember, short term is extremely important, what you just talked about, because I think a lot of times what people get afraid of is it's going to be long term. And that's the thing, right? That grind period that I just told y'all about was 3 to 6 months. Like it was really, and within 3 to 6 months of starting my business and doing all that, for that first 3 to 6 months, I was really grinding. And then I got a contract where I was making $1,000 a week. So it changed the dynamics, right? But for that 3 to 6 months, I wouldn't have been able to go on the lunch meeting that I went to meet the guy that I eventually started working with, where I was making $1,000 a week, if I didn't have that stuff secured, because I would have been too stressed. I wouldn't have even been out meeting people and doing all the rest of that type of stuff. It's really key to look at that, what Randy said in that point. There are short-term, right? Patch the hole up in your boat fixes so that you can get to the long term, go get a new boat or go get a new hull, at least if you don't get a new boat, fixes, right? And so in that space, taking care of your basic Maslow's hierarchy of needs, safety, security, food, shelter needs, what they allow you to do is to focus on other things. But then once you've got that, remember, it's short term. Once you've got that, you've got to realize that now the reason that you took care of that was so that you could get on your grind to focus on what you're hungry about, so that you can go get that information. So you're going to get that, whatever it is, right? And that's where you then get to say, okay, I've got this stuff secured. What am I going to exploit? What am I going to leverage? What talent, what skill, what business am I going to build? What am I going to do that I know can replace, this short-term fix, right? The reason that I didn't go get a full-time job is because I knew that I had a skill set that if I got into the right place, I could make $500 a day. There weren't any full-time jobs that were paying me $500 a day and giving me the flexibility of taking my kids to school and like all the other things that didn't exist. Right. Not in the space that I was, right. And to Randy's point, I had a law degree. I got a master's degree in teaching. I got 2 bachelor's degrees. I had the degrees, but the jobs that my degrees would allow for didn't allow for the flexibility that I needed to build what I wanted to build.
That's so key. Flexibility. Right now, given that you've taken care of some of these basic needs, right? If you've ever seen that at Maslow hierarchy of needs, it's a wonderful thing because you do want your shelter, right? Make sure that that's good. And with that in mind, here's a question. This is the humbling part. Will you ask for help? Right? Will you ask for 3 months worth of help from whomever? Now, think about this for a minute. You've built up probably, hopefully, a lot of goodwill in your life, the things you've done, the church you've gone to, the people you've helped, all these different things. Now it's time to ask. And what that is such a hard thing to do.
Tremendous.
Right. And Rob and I had talked a little bit about this off camera, right? And off mic. It is hard to ask for help. But think about this for a minute. You need at least a good 3 months of runway so you can think better. Because remember, you lost everything. Somebody just came in and snatched it for however reason, right? And we know what COVID did. It just crushed a lot of people, right? So now you're thinking to yourself, all right, everything's gone, but I've got platforms out there that I'm watching people go from zero to absolute hero, right? And I'm a little more animated today than I normally am. And it's simply because this is a subject matter that in my own business, I help people with, right? I tell people and show people absolutely how to monetize their life. Monetize the things you've done, monetize those talents, monetize your fear, monetize your dreams and hopes and aspirations. That's what I do, right? So what that is a part of is saying, okay, let's take a scenario. Let's put it in front of you. And now let's build as if everything just went away. Now, if you can do that, you start planting. I got a little bit of farmer in me, and I got a little bit of a little bit of hunter in me. 2 different skill sets, right? The farmer is planting it because as long as they water some stuff and the birds don't eat the seed, they're going to get a harvest.
Exactly.
But then at the same time,
30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold
has to go out there, kill something, and drag it
eat
home.
now, right? To eat now. And something that Randy just said that, is really powerful. And I think that, I really want you all to kind of key in on this point. You have to be willing to ask, like in this space, right? I went and did the work that I needed to do to take care of my family, but I had to go also and ask for investors into my business to help me cover costs for starting the business, which was extremely difficult because it was way outside of my comfort zone, right? Like before, I told you all, I started 3 other businesses before. They were all self-funded. They came from the money that I was making in my job, and then I would fund those businesses. I never had to ask people for anything. Right. It was a point of pride. It was a point of identity for me. And then to be in a place where not only am I having to work a whole bunch of part-time jobs, but I'm also having to ask people to help me to get my business started. It was a different place. And one of the other things that I did during that period of time, and that I recommend that you do in this space as well, is that you get a mentor. You get somebody that's been there before. That's what Randy he put it out there to you. Like, this is what he does. This is the exact thing that you want to do is call Randy, call somebody like Randy that can help you to see, because sometimes we get into these situations and we can't really see how to leverage our talents, how to leverage our advantages to do what we need to do. We need somebody else who's been there, who's seen it, who understands, to be able to kind of walk us through that journey. Calling that person, calling Randy, calling someone who can help you to figure out how to monetize whatever it is that you do, whoever it is that you are. That's so powerful, because again, we're talking about what are things that you can do that will leverage, that will shorten the learning curve, that will improve your chances of getting back to where you were if you hit rock bottom. Don't go alone, right? Don't go alone. If you try to do it by yourself, one of the things that you struggle with is that you're limited by the knowledge that you have at the moment.
Yeah, that is so key. And again, I'll calm down a little bit when I talk about the subject matter, but I remember when I think I was maybe, $500, maybe a little bit more from having nothing. $500. But that was free flowing cash. Once I started looking around, and I started noticing things. What could I throw overboard to get a couple of bucks, right? What could I shut off that does not serve me? That's when I started looking at cable, right? If you're gaming and you're broke, shame on you. I'm serious. Shame on you. Because now You got time that you're investing in something that's not giving you money back, unless you've kind of created a situation, you're on a team and they pay you, blah, 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 right? That's another situation. We could talk about that. But if it's something that is just, placating you, if it's just making you feel better, you're getting a dopamine rush, and it's your drink of choice, if you will, then shame on you. I'm serious. This is that kind of talk today, because if you have lost it all and you're not looking around at the potential assets that you have, then this talk is for you, right? We got assets around us where we stay. I remember talking to a young lady once, and she was having a hard time getting a job and the whole thing. She had some stuff going on in the background, her background. So, getting hired was tough. But she had a 4-bedroom house that was empty other than her.
Wow.
Now I say, are you kidding me?
Rent a room.
Rent a room. She says, well, the rooms aren't finished. I says, well, one of your tenants is going to be a carpenter.
Exactly.
Now you look around at your assets, everybody. And now these assets can be physical, right? Or they can be what you have inside. And that's what we'll jump into. But imagine if you looked around and you got stuff that you could sell. And I can tell you one of the best Facebook's got a marketplace that gets all kind of traffic. I do advertising on Facebook Marketplace. Why? Because when people go there, they're looking to buy. They just need something to excite them.
Yep.
That's why, I put ads on there, and it's like, oh, what's this? Bam. They came to buy a couch, and they, buy one of my courses. Right. I've got an upcoming course called 25 Ways to Make Where You Stay Pay. What? That's right. As you look around your room, your house, your apartment, we start asking, and I've done this. You go room by room and say, are you serving me whatever's in this room? How are you serving me? Beautiful dining room table, sell it. Right? If it's not serving you, you're sitting there and you're eating dinner, or it's holding your bills, and it can get you $200, $300, $400. Right? Now, I say this with all sincerity in mind. It is time, when you look around and you're asking these kind of questions, it's about being able to survive, to generate income that'll get you stuff paid, that'll talk to you, that'll, like, it may be your life insurance policy that you're paying $37 a month for, right? So that the family feels okay if, God forbid, you dropped over, right? It is that extra little something that'll keep the lights on so you can do some work. And we're going to talk about the kind of work that you can do, getting on one of these free platforms. YouTube is free, everybody. You jump on there and start doing some videos talking about your situation. I guarantee you'll find an audience, because other people may be in that same situation. And if you're hungry enough and you don't let that thing go,
and if you're giving value,
you're giving value. Now people are coming to your channel. Next thing you know, that thing blows up, and then YouTube sends you a check. Now that may be a little bit longer thing to do, because you got to, do all the
process.
Stuff.
Yeah.
But that's planting.
Yeah.
That's planting.
Yeah.
And that's relieving oneself of pain. And you no longer have money to talk to a therapist.
Yeah.
Right. And now some people go, oh my gosh, I don't want to talk about that on. Look, you're trying to eat and you're trying to heal.
Yeah.
Right. So next question is, Rob, can you still hunt? Yeah. You've been the lion in the zoo. They've been feeding you at 8, 10, and 2. The doors of the zoo open up because the zoo closes. You got to go and fetch it.
Yeah, you got to hunt.
And you still hunt.
And that, I think, is one of the things that scares a lot of people. And I will tell you, here's the reality. And this is the point that we were talking about. It's got to be a mixture of both, right? You got to be both hunter and farmer. You got to hunt for right now. That's the interesting thing about hunting. Hunting lasts until the meat starts to spoil, right? It doesn't last very long. So you want to hunt to allow you the time to farm, to plant, and then hunt to carry you over while the seeds are growing. And then the harvest comes and it allows you to not hunt for a while. And then you do this cycle over and over and over again. But the big thing that you got to realize is that you don't have to be a full-time hunter. That's not the goal. And a lot of us, we've gotten to that reality where you know that there's a better way than being out in the bush hunting all the time. Mm-hmm. That's not the lifestyle you want. You want the accoutrement, as Randy was saying earlier, of being in the city and being able to relax. But that requires having a farming mechanism that is returning you 30, 60, 100-fold on what you're putting into it. But remember, we talked about short-term, medium-term, long-term. The whole idea is that short-term, you're surviving. Medium-term, you're building. Long-term, you're thriving. And I think, Randy, go ahead and talk to him about some of the things that once you get to the point where you're done surviving and you've gotten an idea of what's good for you, what does that thriving piece look like? What does that building and farming piece look like?
And this is a subject matter that it is near and dear to my heart, right? And one of the reasons why Rob and I connect so well is that, even in his leadership program, he's talking about thriving in chaos, how they help you thrive amidst all the stuff going on in life and in your business, right? How he's going to help you thrive. Now, what I talk about is, how are you going to create these mechanisms to make money, right? What are you going to plant? Where are you going to plant it? And again, you got so many free things that you can do. 30 days from the point that somebody came in and took all your stuff, you should be making money. 30 days. Now, we're not talking 30 days of you doing an hour a day. We're talking, hey, I got to make this happen. If you're sick, you can make it happen. I'm telling you, I saw somebody, man, that just inspired me so much. This guy got in a car accident. He's got no use of legs and hands. He's in a wheelchair, right? Nice little motorized scooter. And the guy created an environment for himself. He became the top writer for bloggers. I'm thinking, how's this guy writing? Well, he's got a little mechanism in his mouth where he, looks at the computer screen and moves stuff around. But he became the top writer for all these. He's making over, I think he said he's made over $10 million. I looked at that and I said, are you kidding me right now? So if you're not feeling well, you're a little bit older and everything kind of snatched out of you, you got diabetes and, you're not going too well and all that kind of stuff. If a guy in a wheelchair with no use of arms and legs can go out there and make it happen, we know you can.
Yes.
Right? Platforms. So now let's talk about some platforms that you can grab. So this just happened to you. Everything went to heck in a handbasket, right? And you're out there doing some shit. So you got a couple bucks coming in. You don't get comfortable there. You start saying, okay, I got enough to survive. Now let's get into thriving. That's where we're going to look around and see what people want. Where could you find that information? Well, try going to trends.google.com. Trends. It'll tell you what people are talking about. Go over to, and now, okay, so you don't have no phone either. All right. You go to the library. I'm serious, man. You go to the library and you start immediately going into, you got Reddit, you got Twitter. People are out there talking about problems. Now take a look at your skill set. Now we're talking about utilizing the assets that you have now as the person you are, right? And now you're saying to yourself, can I segue myself into one of those areas of help? Now imagine this. Now, again, you got some things going. So now you want to get into long-term thinking, a little bit of planting, right? But you want to now remember that pain and you want to plant in a way that this stuff starts paying you long term.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you planted some stuff. Here's plant number one. If you're not writing a book a month, a book a month. That's right. 30 days now. A book a month. So you got some skill sets. You get your PhD, you got your master's degree, you got a bachelor's degree, your associate's degree. You got subject matter. You're going out there, you're looking at what people are talking about, and you start talking about it. You start being able to solve problems. You start collecting those problems. You start going and finding some areas that people are helping folks. You find somebody that already has the solution, and you say, "Can I sell your stuff?"
That's the big thing. And I wanted to tap into that because I know that we're going to need to do another of these because there's so many ideas. There's so many things that we can give you. The one thing I want you all to pay attention to is you don't even have to create your own stuff to begin with. This is the thing that was mind blowing for me. One of the first jobs that I had, I was working as a consultant in my business. I was working as a consultant for another consulting company, teaching what they were teaching to their clients, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to build it all yourself. You don't have to do it all yourself. That's one of the biggest things. You want to start attaching yourself to people that are already doing what you're doing so that you can start learning the things that you need to learn. That's why we talked about getting a mentor. That's why we talk about, right, affiliate marketing, all these types of things. One of the best kept secrets that I think that, and I don't know, maybe we want to leave them with this today, Randy, is find people that are successful and figure out how you can help them be more successful first. Because in that journey, you will learn a tremendous amount about how to make yourself be successful.
Y'all heard that, right? Find people that are successful because you'll find that those people need help. I guarantee you there's a solopreneur right now just hoping someone calls them up and says, "Can I help you do with that? I have a specific skill set. Can I help you with that?" And that person looks around and go, "Well," and then imagine if you says, "And I'll just take commission. If I help you sell it, we all eat." I don't know a solopreneur out there that would say no to that. Can I be your assistant? Can I, whatever it is, find people that are already in a specific space, like Rob said, and you be of assistance to them because you've got some skill set.
Right.
You just got to bring them out.
Exactly. And don't feel like it's below yourself. Think about this.
Wait till you come to Rob and I's. We're going to be doing, this is coming up, everybody. We're going to be doing, webinar, workshop, big gathering, whatever it is. We haven't decided. COVID is kind of telling us you can do this, but you can't do that. So we're going to be doing some things relative to just what we're talking about right now, right? Yes. Rob is going to be rocking how you can thrive in any kind of environment, chaos or whatever. And I'm going to be talking about how you can start developing all of these monetization strategies so that you never find yourself in this situation. That's the key part. We want you to have so many things that you can now pull from that if the job went away and COVID says, "Hey, I'm shutting your job down," right? Or your business has to slow down. You've planted so much that all you have to do is put a little more water here and go over there and says, "Yeah, I can still eat." Right? It may not be at the level that you were eating at, but you can eat so you don't so that you survive, so that you do not die. That's what we're going to be talking about. Be on the lookout for that, everybody. We're going to be dropping that on you real soon. And if you've listened to some of the stuff that we've talked about today, you're fired up. Put some comments below. Put some comments. Talk to us. Tell us where you're at. Tell us what situation has you all, bothered up. What are you worried about? This is what we do. We solve problems on this channel.
Yes.
We're going to help you get to thriving. We're going to help you monetize everything. Look us up. You can check us out. Google us. We do this stuff all day, and we know we can help you. We don't want you to be in a situation where you cannot thrive.
There we go.
You throw your hands up and go, "That's it."
There we go.
All right, everybody. We will talk to you on the next video, and we hope that today you've been able to get inspired, that you're encouraged, and that somewhere in there's some motivation to know that you're not alone. You have more skills than you think you do, right? And that you're enough to go and make them
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
If
Powerful.
you can do that,
Powerful.
we're happy and our work here is done.
There we go.
Let's talk soon.